Don't wait till the battle's over. Wait. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now. Shout now. Right now. Shout now. Shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. Listen, grab your coffee. So we talk a lot here about journeys. How do we get to where we are? What does that mean? And how do we tell our stories? And which part of our stories do we decide to tell and when? As a lot of you know out there, your journey is dynamic. There are so many components to it, so many ups, so many downs, so many triumphs, so many tragedies. And often it's very difficult to share. Well, today we have a very, very, very special author who is here with a transparent book of poetry entitled I've Got a Lot of Blank on My Mind. Please help me welcome author many, 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 many times over, James Tim Davis. James.
Everybody. Hey, Phillip.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great.
It is so good to see you. I'm so excited that you're here. And for those out there in TV land, I haven't seen James. I think before the show we were talking, it's got to be like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good to see you. It's like nothing's changed. Time has stood still.
It stood still.
It stood still. So, so you're an author. You are a musician. You are a teacher, and you write about so many dynamic things. What made you want to get into the arena of writing?
I think it started definitely when I was at K-State. Went to Kentucky State University. Shout out. I was in a theater class, and we had to write a monologue. And I chose to write about a fatherless child, like seeing his father for the first time. But at the end of the monologue, you realize that he's at the funeral giving words. So that was his first time speaking, seeing his father. And since then, it just kind of snatched me.
So you have a lot that you've written about. You wrote a lot, or you write a lot of children's books as well.
Yeah, I most of my children's books are activities books with affirmations. And it kind of reinforces the math, the science, the arithmetic, and music, of course. And it just kind of merged the two together.
Well, why did you decide to say, okay, I'm writing children's books, but I also have something to say as an adult? How did you make that transition or that decision to say, you know what, I want to be a voice to my story?
Right. So honestly, the reason why I started publishing was actually my mother. My mom passed in 2019, and she had written a lot of poems, and she always wanted to be a published author.
Okay.
So, it just hit me like a year later after she had passed. I was like, you know what, Mama, you still going to be a published author, author. So I ended up publishing that book, and I had submitted a few of mine. So we kind of wrote it together. Okay. But I had already started on a book about my life maybe 10, 15 years ago. But I decided, I said, let me start with my young people first, because if I hit them with a knockout, oh my God, did that happen to you story, then they may not receive the children's books as, the transition may not be that good.
Right. Right.
Definitely started. And I work with kids. I work with kids all my life. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to put that out there first. So that's what I did.
So before we jump into your book of poetry, you mentioned your story. What about your story is dynamic, and why did you choose? I know you said it was because of the children, and putting that first, and that makes total business sense. But I know that when you're writing something so transparent, there can be a lot of pauses along the way. I'm a musician and
Mhm.
I write songs, and the more intimate and more personal and more transparent the song, the harder it is to release it to the public.
Exactly.
So with your story, tell me a little bit about your story and why you decided to capture it, say in poetry.
In poetry. So my story is heavy. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I went through the whole foster care stint. Okay, went maybe 6 or 7 years in foster care. I came from an abusive stepfather
Okay.
situation. Okay, and even in school, I had a story, and a lot of people don't know this, but I had a nervous breakdown when I was at K State,
Hmm.
and I had to leave the school.
Okay.
Okay, but sometimes when you don't face it, you can't fix it if you don't face it. So I went off to
Sure.
another school, but ended back at K State. Okay, and a lot of I went through depression, and it still follows me to this day. What
Okay.
happened in my past, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep it transparent with you. My kids' book are on kids' level. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like I said, it's teaching them how to write and read and all that type of stuff. However, the book that you said, I said it started like 15 years ago. Okay,
Mhm.
and it took me that long to be like, I just want to be free.
Mhm.
Because you get labeled because of some of the stuff that happened caused some other stuff to happen.
Okay.
Um, one incident, and nobody really. I'm saying this for the first time on here.
Okay.
Okay, except for a few people. When I was in foster care, I ran away from the foster home because I was raped
Mm.
by three people. Okay, as I was running away, I was 10. Okay, and they had put me in an emergency foster home with 16, 17, 18 year olds. Okay,
Wow.
so do the math and do the arithmetic, whatever you want to do. So I ran away, and I encountered an older man, like 55 years old. He knew my foster mother. He knew that she was a church lady, and he kind of he got me. He drugged me in this alley, and he proceeded to rape me.
Mm.
Okay. So, but here's where the trip comes. The trip comes when I dropped everything, I got away, but I had to go back to that same foster home.
Okay.
Now, mind you, I was running away to go back home, abusive stepfather. So it was a whole big mess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there was like really nowhere for you to go that was safe.
There was nowhere to go. Okay. So I went back to the foster home. The police didn't believe me until I
Mm.
said, I just dropped everything. And we went, and he pulled up in the alley, and he saw my clothes that I was carrying sitting at the floor. And then all of a sudden, everything went berserk. He said, "You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be safe. You're gonna be da 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 da." And we ended up finding the guy. He got charged with kidnapping and the whole nine or whatever.
Wow.
But it was so long, Philip, that I suppressed that memory in the
Okay.
back of my head. And the reason why I snapped in college was because of all of that I went through as a child. You know what I'm saying? It something snapped, and I just broke. Because if you remember in college, I was over the choir,
Mhm.
all of this type of stuff. So I was Big Brother James, and everybody came to me with problems, and I'm like, "Oh, we got this," but I never really had that outlet to be like to share those type of stories because I didn't want to be considered less than a man.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And honestly, I did 3 shows at K State. One was called "My Past Almost Killed Me," and it talked about you know the abuse and things like that. But I used all women so they
Gotcha.
wouldn't know it was me. And that's really how I told the story to my mother, and she didn't catch it until the second half, and she kind of knew like, oh my God, he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So for you, and I know that a lot of people are going to resonate with this because silence is what the stigma brings.
Yeah.
If you can't be transparent, you are
Mhm.
silent
Yeah.
because, it's looked at as either the perception or the reality. We can build our own perceptions and the reality is also there, but
Right.
your silence is what kind of made everything bubble up.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I'm gonna tell you what saved me was the writing. The writing
Mm.
saved me because what you're gonna see in the books now is something I wrote 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But even it helped me. I thought going to a therapist would help, and because I didn't go to the right therapist, it didn't help.
Right.
Okay, because the therapist that we would go to when we were young was trying to get the family back together. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So
But
the motive for them really wasn't your well-being. It was for how they perceived what the family needed.
get the family back together. Now, and here's the thing. Here's how counseling went with us. You got all of us in the room. I'm coming from foster care to come to this meeting. My stepfather's sitting right there. What do you think we're gonna say in front of him? Nothing.
Right.
Okay. And a lot of people like, but when you in church, listen, the church was scared of him. The only people in the church that were not scared of him was the women.
So let me ask you this. Let me pause and ask you this, because I think part of it is finding out, and I'm interested in discovering, I know that you found healing in your writing, but you're also, a worship leader and a minister, and you've done music, like you said, for a very long time. Is there a position in the church or position of the church where sometimes even if you bring these types of conversations, there's really no resolve?
Listen, I wrote a monologue called "Did You Even Notice Me?" And it was about this person who's sitting in church Sunday after Sunday, singing every week and still going through suicidal thoughts and depression and things like that. Sometimes the church like to cover up stuff, okay, and don't like to talk about, what the real issue is, because the Bible says the joy of the Lord is my strength or whatever. But even though they had some folk in the Bible that went through depression, we just didn't call it that.
Right.
Went through mental issue, but we just didn't call it that. And it was just really, Philip, recently, I'm like recent years, and you asking me I think you said, I'm getting through it. I'm still dealing with it.
Okay.
That's to keep it 100. I'm still dealing with it. And I think we have to keep things in perspective. I got Jesus and I have a therapist.
Come on now. I need a t-shirt.
Listen, because I feel like he can use, who's he using? Us. He's using us. He's using you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To get his word out. And I don't like a King James Version church. Don't be coming to me with thou art, and the Lord said that out there. I don't want to hear all that.
Yeah.
Keep it plain to me. Keep it 100. You ain't got to go through the Hebrew and explain all of that when I'm trying to be healed.
You're like, don't give me no exegesis.
I want to hear all that. I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Keep it to yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as far as the church is concerned, I do believe that the church is therapeutic. Okay. But I also believe that a therapist along with the church will help.
I do think that I had this conversation the other day with somebody, and for some reason people think and they believe that because individuals are in the church, they have some sort of superiority when it comes to speaking into problems and providing solutions when they're not trained in those areas. And, and I think that's where, I have Jesus and a therapist, because just because you're a member of a church doesn't mean you're a therapist.
No, not at all. It's funny you said that, because I was going through some things. There's some things that folk can't talk to me about.
Sure.
If you've never been in an abusive child situation, I really can't receive really what you can say. You praying for me, but don't give me no advice, because I'm not going to be able to hear it. I can't give an alcoholic advice because I've never been an alcoholic. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you've never battled depression and all of that other type of stuff, then you really can't. I can't receive it. And I know that's bad. I don't know if that's Christian or not, but I don't care if
well, the thing is, it's real.
It's real.
I think.
Yeah, I don't care what your title is neither. I don't care. I don't get caught up in this is Bishop so-and-so, he came to prophesy over your life. If you're saying anything to me, don't come to me prophesying about God's going to fix your broken heart. All of us have had broken hearts. I want you to tell me that God's going to grow your gallbladder back. That's why I know God done talk to you, because my gallbladder's gone. You know what I'm saying? I need you to go deep with me. You see what I'm saying, Philip?
Yeah.
Philip, let's think about this. You are more than a conqueror. I'm more than a conqueror. We done been through some stuff.
Right.
You can't come to us with this surface prophecy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's speaking to the immediacy. It's speaking to
Yeah.
the immediacy, and not the overarching goodness of what God can do, whether you
Oh
say it or
yeah.
not.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. So for you now, and I'm interested in this as well. So you go to therapy, you do your writing,
Mhm.
because this happened to you when you were younger, and it continues to kind of make you respond even to this day. How has that impacted? How has your past impacted your relationships now?
You know what? I believe that you go through for a reason.
Mhm.
I believe that I had to go through that because God knew what I was going to be. He
Mhm.
knew that I would be over youth. He knew I would be a worship leader. And who better else to help a mother that's going through with a foster child than somebody who's been a foster child?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So when that foster child sees me, they don't know that I've been in foster care. But when I tell them, I said, it's going to be okay. I was in foster care. They was like, you were? Yeah. And I was a
Mm.
hellion. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I had hellion ways because everything impacted me at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It definitely has affected me. It has affected my witness that
Okay.
God will keep you.
Mm.
God will keep you even when you don't want to be kept, Philip. Even when you
Mm.
don't want to be kept. There's been days I felt like giving up. And I'm not talking about 10 years ago. I'm talking about today.
Mm.
And God had to remind me of who I am,
Mm.
what He's placed on the inside of me.
Mm.
You
That's
know,
good.
yeah. So it's definitely effective. And then I think about my relationships with my friends from college,
Hmm.
and what they mean. Me, like you said, me and you have not seen each other in 20 years,
Yeah.
at least. But I can tell you this, I can draw on our experiences, the memories that we have, and it makes me smile.
Oh.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We
Yeah.
were, so that's what we are. So definitely God has kept me through my experiences and is using those to be effective to a witness to other people.
Many people say that as you go along your journey and you have those people that have impacted you so negatively in the past, that
Mhm.
the process isn't over, or you haven't healed until you forgive them. Do you believe that?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And I used to be like, well, I gotta forgive them. They did this to me and blah 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 blah. I confronted my stepfather way
Mm.
after college. Okay. And the first time I did it, it was like, what are you talking about? So now I'm
That's what
thinking,
he said?
yes.
Ah.
So now I'm thinking I'm crazy.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So I was like, well, was it real? Was it, yada, yada, yada? And then maybe a year later, I confronted him again. And then he owned up to it. Because, Philip, what you don't know is when we would come home to sing with the choir, I always carried a blade. Because I knew
Mm.
if he was at the house, I was going to slice his throat. Because that's the
Wow.
only way we could get rid of him.
Mm.
Okay. Now let's fast forward. Okay. I said, God, how can I get past this? Because it's eating me up as like a cancer.
Hmm.
Okay. I couldn't even go worship. The first time I really saw him face to face, Philip, I had to go sing at someone's church.
Mm.
Okay. And you know how you sitting there and you look at the corner of your eye, I'm like, nah, can't be. My
Exactly.
my whole heart just
Mm.
dropped to the ground. Okay. And it wasn't until like I didn't really think it was him because what are the odds? Okay. And after church, all I heard is, hey Tim, what's up? I'm like, my whole demeanor. That's why I put my name as James Tim. Tim is my childhood name.
Mm.
Anybody calling me Tim know me from my childhood. And when he said that in his voice, it just routed my soul. Because all of that pain came rushing back. This is before forgiveness, though.
Yeah. This,
Yeah,
this is this is before forgiveness with the blade.
yeah. This is before forgiveness. After the blade, though.
Okay.
After the blade, I was.
Get
I
that choir. Get that choir robe. Like, hold on now.
had after the blade. I was in college when I was
Okay.
with that. This happened years later when I had to sing for somebody's church. But I'm gonna tell you when I truly had forgiveness. I was working on they wanted me to bring the show back to K-State. My past almost killed me.
Hmm.
And it talked about all of these forgiveness and abuse and all that type of stuff. And I said, Lord, I just want to forgive. And after practicing and things like that, my one of my twins, my mother got two sets of twins. I'm a twin. Okay. And she said, I need you to go to the hospital with me. My dad just got in a car accident and the vehicle rolled over 3 or 4 times. I was like, huh. I said, okay. I didn't say, oh, I wish he did. I wish he died. I hope he's dead. None of that.
Wow.
When I tell you, I went to the hospital, they opened up the curtain, and he looked like he saw a ghost, because now I'm not a child anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he looked at me. I said, I just came to see that you're okay. You know what I'm saying? And then I left, but I didn't feel like I wanted to choke him, kill him, or nothing like that.
Did you know in that moment that something was different?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And because I didn't want him dead. That's their father. You see what I'm saying? That's not my father. You know what I'm saying? Now, do I want to have a conversation with him or kick it with him? No, of course not.
Sure.
No.
Sure. Yeah.
You
I
know.
think it's interesting that you had such a troubling childhood, yet you decided to insert your childhood name into your professional name.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that if the past hurt so much? Your childhood hurt so much?
Because my family knows me as Tim. Okay. And I need them to see that I'm not going to let Tim be victimized anymore. You see what I'm saying? My middle name is Timothy, but Tim for short. But anybody, like I said, who knows me from the past, so when they do hear this story, they'll be like, oh, little Tim. Oh, Tim. They can't equate it with James, because James was a grown man that went to college. You see what I'm saying? But Tim went through some stuff that, needs to be talked about so that somebody else can be free. You see what I'm saying?
Your book, I've got a lot of blank on my mind. What do you hope that this book does?
Honestly, I just hope it, and really the book is the monologues from those shows I did. My Past Almost Killed Me and On the Verge of Extinction, which was from the male version of what I did. I just want folk to feel free. I want them to identify with what's going on in that book, because it's like I said, it's a lot of people who are not talking about it. And the first time I heard those words spoken, I was in the room and Alexa started playing the ebook of I Got a Lot on My Mind.
Oh.
And to hear those words spoken, it took me to another healing level.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was profound, and I'm not talking about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm talking about 3 or 4 months ago, Philip. I'm still.
Are you fine with knowing that your growth is continuous and you haven't say, I'm healed and now it's on to the next? Are you okay with saying this is a process for me and I'm okay with it being a process?
Most definitely. I mean, I think it's almost like being an addict. You're always going to be an addict. Okay. Now, the way I handle situations are different now. Okay. I don't, I speak triumph. I speak being a conqueror, because I'm still overcoming. I pledge Alpha Phi Alpha, and my line name is Overcomer.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing about that. Like, you got to speak those things.
Yeah, you're declaring this is what I am, whether I feel it or not. This is what I'm saying that I am and I will be.
There you go. And it took a lot of that. It took a lot of my friends like you and other people speaking life into me at a time when y'all didn't know what y'all was doing. Y'all was just encouraging me. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes your strong friends are not checked on all the time. You a strong friend. You don't get checked on all the time. You know what I'm saying? But us strong friends, we supposed to have it all together. We supposed to have it, you got it all together. And what the thing is, you a worship leader, you a minister, choir director. Oh, God's got his hand. You got it. Do I?
Yeah. We're not devoid, we're not devoid of challenges. We're not immune.
Yeah, not
if
immune.
if nothing else, the attacks are more.
There you go, brother. There you go. Because who better else? The devil don't want you to get your story out. The enemy
Right.
don't want you to get your story out. And let me keep it very clear. I don't want to give the devil too much credit,
Sure.
because I do feel like that there are Job situations where the devil had to have a conversation with God and say, "Have you tried my servant?"
Come on, preach.
Now I'm just saying what I'm saying, Philip.
Yeah.
Because I always wake up feeling like I'm God's favorite. The fact that I woke up, so
Yeah. So wow. So tell me about what's next. What's next for you? You have all of these books already under your tool belt. This one is very powerful. What's next for James Tim Davis?
wow. Listen, I'm first of all, I ask God, give me the desires of your heart. That way I don't miss what you have for me. Okay. The latest book, My Past Almost Killed Me. And that's the one that, Philip, you talking about the struggle is real, because I don't sugarcoat now. But here's the thing. I want God to get the glory.
Right. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? If God don't get the glory, the book will not be released. If God don't get the glory at the end, you know what I'm saying? Throughout the book, because I don't want it to be a bash, because I don't want to relive any of that. You know what I'm saying? And I also have to think about, I have siblings. Now that my mom has passed, I don't care what people think. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
And I had to make sure that my mother wasn't looked at in a bad light. My mother was a survivor. There's been times I left the group home to go to the shelter house to visit my mama, because they had to run. You see what I'm saying? So she was a strong woman, and I just appreciate that. And I was able to tell her, because for a long time she didn't know what happened to me. She knew we was being abused physically, but she didn't know
how.
She didn't know the other side of it. You see what I'm saying? And I kept it from her because I had young siblings and I didn't want to put that on her.
Yeah.
So that's
So for people to be able to find you and your work, where can they go?
They can definitely go on Amazon under James Tim Davis. You'll see the books and things like that. And they can definitely reach me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, James Davis with this smile. So I look just like that with glasses on. But yeah, just find me. My email is overcomer1906@gmail.com. Listen, Philip, I'm in the mode of just being free. I'm not holding anything back or anything like that.
Well, good. Well, freedom looks good on you.
Thank you, brother.
I'm so glad to reconnect with you. I'm so encouraged that you're able to share your story in such a transparent way, because I think that when people hear it, something's going to resonate, and they're going to find the strength to say, you know what, if he can do it, so can I.
Most definitely. I received that, and for you to even have this platform, God has positioned you for such a time as this to help free some folk too. So God knows what he's doing, and he knew that way back when that me and you would reconnect.
Right here today. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Most definitely. I got love for you, Phil.
I know you do, and I got love for you too. That is James Tim Davis. Wow. Here is the story, and here is the moral of the story. Your past happens. It does. And sometimes it really hurts. But what we learned today is that you can get through it. It may take a short time. It is a journey, and it may be something that you work on for the rest of your life. However, everybody has something that they're working on. And one of the things that I took away from James was just have the courage to face it. Understand what it is, identify it, and seek somebody's help to get through it. You can have Jesus and a therapist. You heard it here first, second, and third. All right. So be encouraged. I hope you gain some strength from that story, and I hope that you continue to know that you are the best you in the world. We will see you next time here on the PHILLIP Show.
Don't wait.